Welcome to Brother Finds of Wisdom, everyone. By the time you hear this, it would be Monday, August 14th, and our hearts and prayers go out to the massacre of back east, Charlottesville, Virginia. That's craziness, but we're not here to talk about that craziness. We're actually here to talk about Evan's books. Evan Townsend was in the Army for several years, and then he decided to get involved in a paper industry company that got defunct. Now he writes books. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mr. Evan take it away.
Oh, hello. How are you?
I am perfectly fine. So, Evan, explain to me and my audience more about your books in a brief synopsis of your bio and why you became a writer, and then I'll get to my next question, which will be, are you traditionally published? I'm assuming you're self-published. But
Actually,
why did you start writing books?
I started writing when I was 12 years old, and it was just something that came naturally to me, something I wanted to do. It was a creative outlet I needed, and I wrote when I was in the military. I wrote when I was in business. I wrote when I got out of business, and currently I am a freelance writer and an author. I write thrilling science fiction and fantasy novels that cause rapid page turning. I have 10 published novels. 3 of them I self-published, but 7 of them were published by a small press publisher, World Castle Publishing. It's an interesting story. A friend of mine was published by World Castle Publishing, and she said, "You should send them your novel." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. It's all I need is another rejection slip." So I thought, well, I'll send them my novel, and they bought it. They accepted it, and they published 7 of my novels. I decided to go hybrid after that and published my last 3 novels. So 5 of my novels are fantasy, and 5 of them are science fiction.
So a little bit of both traditional publishing and indie publishing. And which one do you like better?
They both have advantages and disadvantages. With the traditional publishing, I send them a manuscript. I work with an editor. They send me a book. And it's a pretty easy thing, but I don't have a lot of control. I have to share the revenue. My publisher has something like 100 and some odd authors, so they don't have a lot of time to promote me. With hybrid, with self-publishing, I have a manuscript. I have to get it edited. I have to pay to get it edited. I have to pay to get a cover made. I have to get it formatted for publishing. Then I get it published, but I get all the money after. But I have to pay those expenses. I get all the profit, all the royalties from selling the book. I have a lot more control. I am the only guy that I have to promote because there's not another 100 authors in my publishing world. There's just me. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both, and I haven't decided which one I like better. And I'm not sure where I'm going to go with my next novel. If I'm going to self-publish it or I'm going to send it to my publisher.
Well, once you get a publisher, and I'll tell you why I'm asking this question in a minute, do you stick with them, or unless I fire you or you do something stupid, I presume you stick with them?
Yeah, I've stuck with my publisher. She published my first novel in 2010, So I've been with them for 7 years and 7 novels. And the only reason
Good for you.
the only reason I got 7 novels out in 7 years is 3 of them were already written before she published the first one.
So 3 of them sat on the computer. You just didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah, exactly. And I was traveling on a business trip I can't remember where I was going. I used to take a lot of business trips, and I was in the lounge for Northwest Airlines, which doesn't exist anymore, in Minneapolis, and I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and there was a story in there about indie publishing. And before that, I had no idea it existed, And I was debating indie publishing before I found my publisher. And now I've done indie publishing after I've been published traditionally.
So you were debating back and forth with the 3 manuscripts already sitting on your laptop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had 3 complete novels on my laptop at the time. I had Hammer of Thor, Agent of Artifice, and Rock Killer all sitting on my laptop. Rock Killer is the first novel I ever wrote.
Yeah. So, okay. The reason why I say that question is because I might get a small publishing deal myself. And, of course, my publisher has a backlog to 2020. And so if I get in, I'll let you guys know, but they have a backlog to 2020. And I interviewed the main publisher on this podcast, Lisa. I forget Lisa's last name, but if you go back and you'll find it, I think it's Lisa Kirshner. And so she talked about Wild Running Press and how they have a backlog to 2020. And I was so excited to get a potential small publishing deal. And then when she goes, oh, we can look at your manuscript, we just need to wait until 2020. So is that true with most small publishers? Do they have a big backlog? I mean, I know everyone wants to be on the New York Times and wants to be on the Wall Street Journal, but I didn't realize these small publishers have a backlog like that. Jeez.
I don't know, to be honest with you. Maybe some do, some don't. Depends on the publisher. World Castle Publishing, I'm Facebook friends of quite a few of the authors there, and they say they're getting their books through from submission to having the book in their hand in 3 or 4 months. So I don't think
really
it's true for everybody.
It really depends. And trust me, you guys, if I get this publishing deal, it will be the only publishing deal I will accept because I like creative control. I don't know about you, Evan, but I certainly like creative control.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the thing I hate, hate's kind of a strong word, but the one process in this whole thing I don't like is editing. And with a publisher, you may not have a choice with their edits. This happens to me in my freelance world. I'll send a story off to a magazine, and then when I see the story, it's been edited in ways I don't like, and that feels like letting someone tattoo your children. It's just annoying. My publisher is pretty good. They do edits, but they let you give them feedback on the edits, and I've had arguments with the editor about some things, but basically, you have a choice to accept their edits, but some publishers may just edit your work and say, that's the way it is, and we're going to publish it this way.
And what I've heard on the grapevine is that when you hand a book to a publisher, you're handing your baby over to preschool, and they won't necessarily accepts your cover the way it is.
Right. Yeah, they'll come up with a cover they like.
Yeah, that's
They
still
think they'll make the book sell.
Yep, and I'm sure you've had that experience.
A little bit, but not in the book publishing world, more in the freelance world.
More in the freelance world. Why do you think that is?
Well, the freelance people are in a hurry because they got to get out a magazine once a month or once a week or whatever it is, and they're not going to argue with you back and forth about little edits. They're just going to edit and publish it, and
edit and publish big time.
Yeah.
Edit and publish big time. So, Evan, what is your favorite book? It doesn't have to be a business book. It just has to be a book that you go back to time and time again.
My favorite book. I should say it's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein, but I feel bad because I haven't read it for probably 6 years or 7 years, because it's been a long time since I've read it, and I can't find my copy of it. It's probably in my boxes of books somewhere, so I should probably buy a new one. But the book I have read the most is, to be honest, The Princess Bride by William Goldman. You know, the movie was based on it, and I read the book before the movie came out. I read the book in 1977 for the first time, and I've probably read that book 10 times. And because it not only is it funny, and it's just full of wisdom, and people, and unfortunately, all that wisdom kind of got cut out in the movie because there wasn't time for it. But the book is, it's funny and it's full of wisdom.
I did not know until today they did a book off of it. They did the book based on the movie. I did not know when there was a book. The book. I don't know when the book came out, but I read it in 1977 and have read it several times since. And then the movie came out in 85 or something. I can't remember exactly when the movie came out, 86. And I went and saw the movie in the theater, and I was like, well, that was funny and it was good, but it didn't have any of the book's wisdom to it. You know, there wasn't very much of the book's soul. But you know, when you condense a book into a movie, a lot of that stuff gets lost sometimes. Yeah, a lot of that stuff gets lost. Believe it or not, I got approached by someone yesterday in LA saying that she would do a screenplay of one of my books. Believe it or not, I'm writing a new book underneath a pen name. Thank you very much. And so I'll let you guys know when that progresses. But believe it or not, she goes, I could do a screenplay for you. And I'm like, why don't you think about this? Because I would really like to see one of my books made into a movie or made into a play. I've been approached. This would be my second time being approached by about my first time being approached about a screenplay. My second time probably being approached about a movie, because for some weird reason people like my story. But enough with me rambling on. But Evan, if you had to be educated by anyone, who would it be and why?
If I had to be what by anyone?
Educated.
Educated. Oh, who would? Oh man, that's a great question. Because there's, Isaac Newton. I understand he was kind of a jerk. I would probably go for my favorite writer, who unfortunately died in the late 80s, Robert Heinlein, who wrote The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. He was brilliant. He wrote stories that had science and scientific accuracy, as accurate as he could for when he wrote, but he also had believable characters you cared about, situations you cared about. And he probably influenced me more than I should admit. But it would probably be Robert Heinlein, who I would like to educate me on writing and science and math.
What would you ask him?
What would I ask him? How do you write a story with scientific accuracy that everyday people can pick up, read, and enjoy?
Yeah.
I think I did that fairly well in my novel Rock Killer and my last 3 novels, the Treasures of Space stories, but he did it so much better than I.
Yep. And what is your favorite technology tool you use on a daily basis?
That's got to be my iPhone. That thing is like almost glued to my hand.
Yeah, it's almost glued to your head. And a lot of people are saying Google Docs, but iPhones do count. You guys know that. I am addicted to my iPhone. I actually write stories using Siri on my iPhone. I have about 100 Google Docs going right now. Using Siri about all different novels on my iPhone. So, yep. So that's how I write my books, and then I send them off to my editor, and she makes them pretty, and then I get self-published. So that's how I do my self-publishing, and hopefully one of these days, as I said, I'll get a traditional publishing deal with a small publisher, but that won't be probably until September. They won't give me a date until September. So what is your favorite application that you use on your iPhone?
My favorite application? I love the Notes application because, a lot of writers will say that they carry a notepad and pencil around, or they have notepads and pencils all over their house in case they have an idea. Well, if I have an idea, I open up the Notes, which, just comes with Apple, just comes with the phone. It's not a fancy app. I just open that up and I start writing my notes down, my ideas down. Or I'll use the voice recorder if I don't want to write. I'll just record my notes, or I've even recorded pieces of dialogue. And it's funny when you listen to my recording of the pieces of dialogue, they don't sound as good as I want them to. That's okay. They sound good when you read them, when you write them. But yeah, it's the notes. I use that thing for anytime I need to write something down. It goes in the notes device on my phone. People call their phones their external brain, and that's certainly true in my case.
Yep, that's certainly true in my case too. As a full-time writer / freelance journalist, retired, soon to be completely retired educator. My God, soon to be completely retired. And I'm only 30 years old. I wish I made my retirement earlier than I did, but that's okay. And so, Evan, where can people find you, and where can people get a hold of your traditionally published books and your self-published books?
The best way to find me is my website, which is sevantownsend.com, just SEVANTOWNSEND.com. There's links, all my books, all 10 of my books are on there. There's links to Amazon and Barnes & Noble and anywhere else they're published. Some books, my traditionally published books are published all sorts of different places. My self-published books are mostly on Amazon. They're on KDP, so if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read them for free, and I get like half a cent per page or something. So
something nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something nuts.
Yeah, all my social media is there, or links to all my social media is there. My my blog, my Twitter, my Facebook, my YouTube. That's all linked up on my website. So just go to evantownsend.com and check it out.
So, Evan, now you get to turn the mic on me and ask me a couple questions about anything that you've been wanting to ask me.
Well, I want to ask you, what kind of books do you write?
I just decided I am a novelist for teens primarily, with a main focus on teaching teens about disabilities. And because I have a disability, for those of you who don't know, I have cerebral palsy, and that's why this podcast started, based off my original autobiography, I, Win, which could be found on Amazon, I, Win. That's how you spell my legal name, yes. So, I am a novelist for teens primarily, but adults can read my books. I mean, they're not necessarily meant for teens. They're meant for everyone.
Yeah. I have nothing like cerebral palsy. I'm bipolar, and I'm on some really good drugs to keep me sane.
Yeah.
But so I don't.
Yeah.
So I have struggles.
Yes.
Yeah, I have some struggles with obviously nothing like cerebral palsy, and I admire you for everything you've accomplished. Because that must be what is the hardest part about having cerebral palsy for you?
The hardest part is when my body just doesn't want to work with my brain. My brain thinks, and people know this, thinks as an able-bodied woman. My body, on the other hand, thinks like it has cerebral palsy. So when the brain doesn't compute with the body, we've got a long day of fighting and life struggles ahead of us. But 9 times out of 10, it computes with the body quite beautifully. But I'm not on any medication whatsoever. The only medication I'm on is vitamin D. So I'm not on the typical cerebral palsy medications, which is baclofen, which all baclofen does is decreases the muscle tone and decreases the muscle spasms so you can function. But like bipolar medication, it makes you a walking zombie. So you have to be careful with it.
Yeah.
And I won't get into my baclofen PSA, but baclofen, I was on it from 2006 to 2009. Finally, I turned into a walking zombie, and got myself off baclofen. Thank you very much, my smart aleck mom, who saw I was turning into the walking zombie and got me off baclofen. Otherwise, I would still be on it to this day, and then I wouldn't be doing this podcast. There's no way.
All right. Yeah. The first drugs the psychologist tried on me for bipolar, it turned me into a walking zombie. I hated it, and I told him I can't take these drugs, and he said, okay, well, let's figure something else out. Which is what I liked about him. Unfortunately, he retired, but he finally found I call it a chemical cocktail. He found a combination of meds that keeps a lid on the bipolar, but doesn't turn me into a zombie. Because if I was a zombie, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, which is write.
No, I wouldn't be able to write a book if I was on the zombie end of cerebral palsy, quite frankly. I wouldn't be able, half of us wouldn't be able to do what we do on the creative end / the teaching end if we were all walking zombies. So without, with heavy bipolar medicine and with heavy cerebral palsy medicine, you have to be careful with how you do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's just plain and simple. So I'm happy that doctors have got you on a happy cocktail to keep the bipolar at bay and then keep you writing and keep you publishing. I mean, that's what all that counts, right?
Right.
And this is my last question, and then I'll let you go. Do you ever base your characters off your real life?
Well, I've never written a bipolar character. That'd be a challenge. Maybe I should try that sometime.
Yeah.
But my protagonists, who are usually male, not always, they tend to be, they tend to have my sense of humor. They tend to have my way of thinking for some reason. I'm not sure why. Oh, yeah, because I'm writing them.
Oh yeah,
I've never
because
done.
Yeah.
I've never done a bipolar character. That would be a very interesting challenge. I'll have to write that down in my phone as an idea for a future story.
Yeah, because that would be a very interesting challenge. I actually based my alter ego, which I'm using again in this recent book, off me, and so you can tell she has the same personality I do, the same disability, except a little less severe than I do. And and it's always interesting to see your alter ego appear on the page because people don't understand what we do as a creative industry. I mean, I had a person ask me today, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "I'm writing a book." She goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because if I don't write, I don't get a paycheck." And she just looked at me and rolled eyes. And this is a person very close to me. So a lot of people don't understand what we do. Yeah. So to close this interview out, what would be your message to aspiring authors, not me at first, but me, I can always use help, but what would be your message to aspiring authors who want to write a book, but are trouble then explaining to the outside world what we as authors do?
Huh. Well, I thought this was going to be an easy question, then you made it hard. If you want to write, you need to write. Well, I can't tell you the number of people who told me, "Oh, I want to be a writer," and I say, "What have you written?" And they say nothing, and I say, "Well, then come back when you've written something." But explaining I had that problem with members of my family. They're like, well, especially before I retired from business, they're like, "You need to concentrate on business and not write." And I'm like, I need to write. I have to write. If you're an aspiring writer and people are asking you why you are writing, you need to tell them that why do they breathe? Why do they do what they do? They don't have to agree with what you do. Why, everybody has, there are people who knit, there are people who scrapbook, there are people who do all these little things.
Yeah.
And writing, I don't want to degrade it as a hobby, but it is a pastime, but because it produces wonderful stuff. And if somebody asks you why you do it, just say, because I have to do it.
I have to
you have to breathe.
To make an income, because you can make money off writing. It doesn't have to be a hobby all the time.
Right, exactly.
You can make money off writing, and you can make it to the New York Times bestseller list. I'm actually trying with one of my books to make it to the New York Times bestseller list, and to show the world that you can be an independently published author and don't need a huge publishing deal. But we're working on that slowly but surely. But that's a great answer. Just because, just like you read, that's why we write books.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Evan, I appreciate your time on a Sunday afternoon to come share a little bit of your story with my audience. And by the time you guys hear this, it will be Monday morning because I'm putting the two interviews I do today up today and publishing them on Monday. And so, Evan, you will have the link, and so all you guys could hear Evan's story. And I just think it's fascinating talking to authors. I truly do. People that understand me and people that don't understand me. I'm trying to teach you guys that I'm slowly but surely stepping away from teaching and doing what I enjoy. And obviously, Evan enjoys it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it, and you wouldn't be small, traditionally published press either. So, Evan, I appreciate your time, and we will have all of Evan's information in the show notes. And I definitely appreciate everyone listening and everyone responding to my tweets and retweeting my tweets, and that is just great. And let's keep on inspiring writers and keep on just making this world a better place. Thanks to you guys.
Thank you.